course, she starts off laughing. Hey, welcome to Networking Star. I am your host, Jeffrey Boyle. And on this podcast, I have some of the most interesting entrepreneurs, some of the thought leaders, and some of the people that just want to help you have, be, and do more. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Angela Boyle. She is the wife of a fanatical entrepreneur.
Fanatical.
This guy. We have been married for 25 years and she supported me through thick and thin. But the crazy thing is she's pretty crazy too as an entrepreneur. And we have gone to law school together. We have started businesses together. We have succeeded together. We have failed together. We have accomplished great things and we've accomplished small things. And we recently returned from Costa Rica, where we lived for a period for more than a year. And we've just done some amazing things. So I thought, you know what? We should have her as a regular guest. 1, she's prettier than me. 2, she smells better than me. 3, she's just better than me. Oh, she's not going to do that. Can't believe she's crazy. So Angela, welcome to Networking Star.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
So we've considered calling this segment of Networking Star psychological. So there's
and why?
Because she's psycho and I'm logical.
85% of the time, and then the other 15, it's actually reversed.
So we're contemplating. I think it's because you are my favorite person in the world. 5 kids. We've never stayed. Even my dream home, where I told you I wanted to be buried in the backyard in the pasture with the cows, we even sold that. So what's the longest we've ever stayed in a home?
I think 5 years, right?
5 years.
5 years in Nampa and 5 years in Eagle. So 2 different places. That's the longest.
All right. So we've stayed the longest we've ever stayed in our marriage. So we've lived in Las Vegas. We've lived in Costa Rica. We lived in northern Idaho when I was going to law school. Yep. So we've flipped homes. We have sold homes. We have almost always made a big profit on a real estate. You've been a realtor. Mm-hmm. I've been the crazy guy doing some of the work. And we've come out on top enough times to have done some great things. So here is my question.
That's all you need. You just have to come up on top one more time, then you fall.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think one of the main reasons, and I'm going to be quiet and ask you some things, dear wife. We have a wonderful guy who works with us. His name is Juan Manuel. Mm-hmm. And he called me the other day and he said something to the fact of, you and Angela are this power couple in business. And he's been working with us for about a year. Yeah. And he basically said, you guys are always on the same page. You're so much alike. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I can't believe that people view us that way. And we have become so much.
It's very nice of him to say that.
It was very nice. But I just remember thinking, wow, Angela had the baptism of fire marrying this crazy guy.
True.
What is it like? I guess that's the question I'd ask you. And then I think you're the star of this episode. And as we continue to do these psychological. I'll just say one more thing. As we would move, we would go to different congregations of our church. Mm-hmm. And I was almost always Angela's husband.
Yeah.
And
almost always.
Almost always. In fact,
Costa Rica, I think that was the only time when you were not, because you were the Spanish speaker. So
right. Yeah. So it was great. So I was the one who held you up, and for the sake of our marriage, we've almost always had to drive to church in separate cars. So I could leave and she could just chat, right?
Yep.
And I think it's safe to say that you didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial household. No. And so how difficult was it to adjust from a job mentality to 7 years of feast and then 7 years of lean, and that cycle going over and over again?
gosh, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I think we talked about it years ago. Um, but I mean, like you said, I didn't grow up with that. My dad had a job with a company that he started at the bottom. He started in the mailroom and literally worked his way up over the time that he was there, which was almost his entire career. They had I don't know, 30 years in, and they had a massive layoff time, and that kind of messed with him. But he literally had the same employer for my whole childhood, right? And even into the beginning of my adulthood too. So for me, being an entrepreneur I don't think it ever crossed my mind, right? I don't think that I ever did things that would be entrepreneur like. I didn't think that way.
So
It was
what was it
always
like
very,
then? I mean, to go from complete 9 to 5 mentality to
yeah,
this guy.
it was psycho. That's where that 15% comes in, because I was the logical and you were the psycho in that moment, right? Because what I know now is an entrepreneur's life is crazy a
Yeah.
lot of the time. A lot of the time, it's crazy. It's up, then it's down. It's good, then it's what are we going to do next? It's move to this place. Now we stay here for a while. Now move to this place. So it's up and down in so many different aspects of life. And I don't think people, and I didn't know until I do now, that it actually touches all of the different parts of life, right? It touches your family, it touches your finances, it touches your sanity. Sometimes it touches whether you sleep or whether you don't. It touches your travel, it touches your dreams. I mean, I could list them all, but an entrepreneur's life is very exciting and it's very scary all at the same time.
And I think that that's kind of, I've been an entrepreneur since I can remember,
Yeah.
and my tolerance for I guess my tolerance for it is so high. My
Yeah.
tolerance for risk, my
Yeah.
tolerance to be able to go off and just see something in my head and just go for it
Hmm.
is that tolerance is so high that it was very difficult when we got married for me to be able to have the patience to allow you to go through that process.
Hmm.
And I think the best way I could compare it in a more contemporary recent thing is when we moved to Costa Rica, we had our dream home, 5.5 acres. I had my cows. I just had this. We had our private lake. We had everything that we worked for, and we had some destabilization with one of our businesses, and so I just said, let's sell it. And I remember just how painful that was, I think, for both of us, because we had worked so hard to achieve really this dream estate
Yeah.
and our dream cars. And you drove the Kick-A gray hybrid vehicle, plug-in
Hmm.
hybrid. I had my favorite vehicle of all time, the Ford Raptor, and we just
Ford
said, you know what? We
Raptor.
need a reset, right? And
Yep.
I would say that your tolerance, of course, has grown very, very much. For example, when we moved to Costa Rica, I rented this 5-bedroom hacienda with this huge dining room table and this big modern kitchen. And we had sold everything. When we say
Yeah.
we sold everything, how do you take something that fit into an almost 10,000 square foot home and move to another country and only leave behind one small little rental locker, right, of stuff? That's all we kept.
Yeah.
It's wild when you think about it. We sold our cars, we sold everything. And the first night that we're there, why don't you explain a little bit of just what you went through?
Well, I think the first thought was, what have we done? What did we just get ourselves into?
Yeah.
We had to sell the home. So that was a given. We had tried to purchase 3 other homes And for whatever reason, those were falling through, right?
Bad roofs or just things weren't good on those.
Yeah, it just kept, it wasn't the place we were supposed to be, right? And so when we got to Costa Rica, it was a little bit of culture shock, even though we had visited already a couple weeks before to find these places. It was a little bit of culture shock because now we were actually living in it. We had our
Yeah.
kids, the
Well,
kids
I made the mistake of getting us in 4 and 5 star hotels, and then all of a sudden we had to live in a, I thought,
in
beautiful place, but
in the hacienda. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we had to live there, which means we had to live with the weather. We had to
yeah,
live with the broken AC unit. So
yeah,
there wasn't AC, and we had to live with the bugs.
yeah,
And I'm not used to so many bugs, right? I freaked out. I
yeah.
became psycho. And
I'd
you
never seen
thought
it.
I was joking.
I thought it was so bad, and you were
Yeah.
hyperventilating, and you had screamed as you were running down the hall because she was doing the dishes, and she had spent 4 or 5 hours just doing Angela clean. I thought it was clean, but it wasn't Angela clean.
Yeah.
And she comes screaming down the hall. I'd been unpacking in this rental, and what had happened just as she was finishing up, a gecko ran up the window right in front of her, and I think that was
About
the straw that broke the
about
camel's
this far away from my
back.
face. So it was just right there, And it wasn't the first. I had seen them already. It was just the last straw.
Yeah.
And I was tired. I was emotionally drained because I don't think people understand. They think, wow, what a cool thing to do. It looks really glamorous and it looks really romantic on the outside. But when you actually do it, there's a ton of emotion behind it because, like you said, we sold our dream home. That is emotional to sell something that you have taken 20 years of your life to build up to, and now you have to sell it. All of your belongings. I don't think people realize how attached to things that we are.
Crap. A lot
We
of
are
crap.
attached. Yeah, we're attached to crap, right? I follow these guys online, the minimalists, and they talk about that as well. And I love their posts because we get connected to things. One, because there's usually a memory behind it, whether it involves family or food or a holiday or whatnot, right? And then, so we're attached to these things. So we see that favorite one of a kind table being sold off for pennies on the dollar at the garage sale or the
It was,
estate
it was,
sale.
it was a state sale. Come on.
Yes, estate sale, that you kind of go, oh, wow. And you have to go through it though. You have to go through that emotional release of those things. But you also have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to sell it. You have to be willing to release it. And then you have to be willing to be okay not getting something to replace it. Right. And that is really, really hard. And I realized how much stuff we actually had. And two,
You can fit a lot of stuff in a 3,000
square
square
foot
foot
basement.
basement. Yeah.
Yes, you can. But once it was done, it's a feeling like no other. There's just like a release off of your shoulders that we could go anywhere. We could do anything. But I don't think I had finished all of that grieving by the time I got to Costa Rica. We had still been heightened with the move. We were still trying to store the little remaining things, the memory books and the little knickknacks and whatever. Very small, a 5x10 unit. We're talking, we saved nothing but the essentials. And so I didn't finish that grieving by the time we had gotten to Costa Rica. So I had been tired. I had been worried about everybody's luggage and all of the passports and the overnight flight. We took a red eye. So
and I got them through customs, but customs stopped me.
That was scary
and
too.
and
Yeah.
Angela, who doesn't speak Spanish, they Costa Ricans speak great Spanish, but she didn't speak Spanish, and I was talking to them in Spanish, and she was trying to talk to him, and I just looked at her and said, "Leave,
Go for
go, you're
real.
in the
You
country."
win.
And they held me back for quite a while, and then made me leave the country 7 days later.
That's
Uh,
right. They made
and
you.
I had to leave the country. I had to go to Nicaragua to do
Yeah.
it. And so she was even trying to control. She doesn't speak Spanish. She doesn't travel the world that I did. And you were trying to control the uncontrollable still.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I handled it. I mean, come
You
on.
were
It was like I've
good.
done
You were great. We got you in the country. You just did a quick border run and back. It took you a couple hours. It was good in the end. Now I know. And now I tell everybody who wants to know. So, but yeah, the first night it was hard. We had, we luckily had air conditioning in the bedroom. And I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm not coming back out until I sleep. So with
Well, and I,
that,
I had to offer you because I think what kept us there is that we sold everything. Had
yeah,
we not done that, I remember you crying and saying, "What are people going to think of me?" I'm like, "Who cares what people think of you?" And I had to say to her, "I will take you to the Four Seasons tonight.
no,
Let's go. I'll take you to the Four Seasons because." Explain a little bit how you made the decision for us to leave the country. The houses that we made
yeah,
offers on were beautiful homes. They were great homes. They were $1 million homes still.
yeah.
But we didn't get them for some reason. And so explain how you came up with us, how we decided to leave the country.
Yeah. So most of the crazy ideas in our past have been yours.
This guy.
So, but with this one, I think it was after the third house fell through for whatever reason. And I just, I was just praying all the time, right? I just had what they say, in the scriptures. I have a prayer in my heart. You're just constantly thinking about it, talking to God, and just saying, what are we supposed to be doing? What is our next step? Right. And as I'm brushing my teeth one night, sometimes, how like moms will get this. You're driving in the car, you get in the driver's seat, and that is when all the ideas or the things to do or all of the things come to you. It's like you're sat in that chair and it was filled with everything. Moms get that. So it was kind of like doing those simple daily tasks that were able to let my mind be kind of free and open. And while I was brushing my teeth, a simple task, in came just this revelation of, you need to move out of the country. You need to
And
just go.
you said to go to Mexico, right? Because we
When I
love
came to
Mexico.
you, yep, when I came to you because you had done business in Mexico and we had gone with you a time or two, and
And we got engaged on the
we
top
got
of the facility
engaged in Mexico
in
as well. So it
Mexico.
was familiar to us, right? So when I came to you, I said, what if we just moved to Mexico for 6 months? The kids that were at home weren't in vital grades that needed to have anything, special. It wasn't like our oldest was like a senior in high school or something like that. They were at a time where it was just a
Possible.
a question of, yeah, why not? Why not? And I remember you looked at me and you said, are you serious?
No, I
And I
said really.
oh, okay. Really? And I said, yes, I think we should. And you just simply said, okay. And that was it. That was the discussion, which if the roles had been reversed, I would have been like, no way. There is no way I am moving out of a country. No way. But
But
as
once, and I guess, we're using this as almost a metaphor of what it is to go from a 9 to 5 mentality to being an entrepreneur. You had that baptism of fire,
Mhm.
and we ended up, staying in that wonderful. It had this big pool. We had howler monkeys in our backyard.
Yeah.
We had, I loved it.
We
And
still had our gecko friends up in
we
the
had
ceiling
geckos.
that our daughter ended up naming.
She
So
named them, yeah, because
there were
I didn't
three
know
or four of them. It
they
was,
like bark. They're crazy.
it's
Uh,
funny. Yeah.
Burp. it's more of a chirp.
Maybe it's,
But
yep.
we moved from there into an exclusive community, and we bought a beautiful condo right next to the beach, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And and then it gave you the ability to kind of be introduced to to that. And now, how difficult do you think it would be for you to go live in Fiji or go live
Oh,
in?
I would do it in a heartbeat, because we
Yeah,
still, here's the crazy thing that most people probably don't know. We still don't own stuff, including a house.
we
We
own these
are,
computers and I guess these lights and this wonderful
there
brick
you
wall
go. We own
behind
more
us.
electronics than
Yeah.
anything else. We don't own furniture. We
And I
own our
had these
cars.
with me in Costa Rica. I had these here,
Yeah,
except for the
that's
brick
true.
wall I didn't have. But the I think the thing is that within a year and a half, you had gone from not just concern, but an actual panic attack
Yeah.
where you were completely frozen, more
Hmm.
so than I'd ever seen you be in your entire life.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you had gone from being completely frozen to really being able to. They have grasshoppers there that are as big as your hand.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
They're this big. It's
and we
crazy.
jumped off waterfalls. We did waterfall rappelling.
Hmm.
We did some of the. I still miss very much as almost my morning meditation. We as a couple have a prayer together. We'd do our business call with our team, and then I would walk to the beach, which was where we had our gym and also the beach, and I would walk through what I called my the mornings with monkeys and mangoes.
Hmm.
And these giant mangoes would fall out of the trees, or the monkeys would take them and grab a bite, and they'd fall. And in that heat, if they're not picked up within a day, they'll start to ferment. So you'd have this cacophony of sounds of birds, and the monkeys sometimes would yell at you, and you'd have
The
this,
little
like,
families of pizotes would,
yeah, those little
you
what are
know,
they called in English? But
koati in English.
you'd have those running by, and you'd have these spectacular birds
Yeah.
and iguanas, and to me, at 9 a.m. in the morning in Costa Rica, it's still perfect weather. I mean,
Hmm.
Costa Rica almost has perfect weather all the time anyways. And it was just can't even use the word amazing. That's not fair. Everybody uses that word too much.
Hmm.
It was transformative to
Yeah.
us. It enabled us to reset. It enabled you to have a different experience. It enabled the kids to be able to have interactions with kids from 26 different countries.
All over
It
the world.
was transformative, even though it was difficult. And I think that we will forever be connected to the people in Costa Rica. They're
For sure.
lovely people, some of the most spectacular people on the planet. And if we would have let uh, this may sound bad, if we would have let your fears cripple us from doing that, we
Yeah.
would have been robbed of one of the most spectacular experiences in our life. And I think that
Yeah.
that's the same thing with people trying to, to me, entrepreneurship equals freedom. It also comes with lots of ups and downs, but it's enabled us to travel the world. In business, I've been all across Asia. I've been all across Europe. I've been to Russia. I love the Russians and I love the Ukrainians too. I worked with both of them, and it breaks my heart
Yeah.
because I know those people. I
Yeah.
think that travel has given us a unique perspective on the world. And that's what being married to this fanatical entrepreneur, I think, has done. I think you would have had us travel anyways. Um, but we've really been able to have the freedom to be able to do things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's been, um, our sister-in-law, as they were helping us sell our home, right before we knew we were going to
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, she said to you, well, she said to someone
She didn't
not
say it
knowing
to
that you
me.
were right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't know you were right there, but she said, boy, Angela has been through a lot being married to Jeff.
And it wasn't meant as a compliment.
I don't think it was,
No, it was
because
not.
she,
I asked Wendy. It's our brother, and it's Angela's brother's wife.
yep,
And I asked Wendy. I said, "Did you mean that as a compliment?" She goes, "No, Jeff, I did not."
no, she is just honest and true and down to earth. And here's the crazy thing. She is right.
Yeah.
She's absolutely right. I have been through a lot being married to you,
Yeah.
but it depends on how you look at it. Are you a half full of, your glass is half full, or is your glass half empty? And knowing what I know now, of course, I'm a half full kind of girl because I have gotten to I've gotten to do a lot
Yeah.
being married to you.
I mean,
I have
we've been on 2 week long business trips to
Mhm.
Kazakhstan together,
Yep.
to China together,
China,
to Mexico,
Mexico.
and
Mhm.
where we've been able to see really spectacular things
Yeah.
on business. And I think,
And
now
meet
that,
wonderful, wonderful people too, and
and right now
experience
we're
life.
both of us are, it's like we planned this. I didn't realize that you were wearing your black Bimoto shirt.
I
My
know.
10-year-old, our 10-year-old, my 10 our 10-year-old, he's the most like me. He has the same ridiculous round head as me. He says what he thinks like me. And he looked at me the other day, he goes, Dad, why do you always wear Bimoto shirts? Is that all you have? I'm like, it's my brand, bud. I'm like, come on. But the thing is that's our new venture. And this is the first time that we've funded it ourselves with um, and 99% of it by ourselves, and
Mhm.
it has been a spectacular thing for me to rely upon one person in the world we that I can trust on, or that I can trust. We Angela and I almost every night watch reruns of the TV show Survivor, and so many times business is like Survivor. You can trust me. No,
Mhm.
no, I
Not
can't
really.
trust you. Is I explained to her that there's just a small handful of people that I can trust, but with her, it's complete trust. And for us to be able to sit back, see the mistakes that we've made, but also be able to start progressing, and to because to start a business, your business plan is over almost the minute you start, and you have to have the flexibility to be able to have the failures that so many times investors have tried to restrict us from being creative. But they were attracted to me and my creativity to start, but then they're so resistant and so reluctant to change. And what Angela has been able to do, and being married to this crazy guy,
Crazy
is
guy.
learning to change, learning to take news, bad or good, and adjust
Mhm.
accordingly. And
Yep.
that's so difficult, I think, for the employee mentality. And I remember we'd been married for 2 years. We were living in that condo that I bought for us right when we first got married. And I
Yep.
remember you critiqued me for we were driving our Honda Accord, our blue Honda Accord, and I remembered you critiqued me pretty aggressively for me dismissing an employee. I had to fire an employee, and you thought that I'd made a mistake, and you gave me a pretty blistering um, critique. And I don't know if you even remember it. And I got so
A
mad, I
little bit.
punched the steering wheel and bent the steering wheel, and I threw it into park right in the middle of the road and walked away. And we don't have moments like that anymore. We disagree,
Yeah.
but not only do I believe that I've earned your trust, but I also believe that your stability has enabled me, even your critique, because you're much nicer with your critique 90% of the time with me now. And
Okay.
it enables me to have a normal person's perspective. And even though you're not too normal anymore because I've tainted you, you give me perspectives. And just the most recent one, you've been doing all of these for our artificial intelligence platform. You're the one that's doing all of our videos, our training videos, where you knew
Training
nothing
video.
about AI, 6 weeks ago, and you started
Yeah.
watching my AI training videos. And what was your critique of
What
those?
did I say? Do you remember?
Yeah, those suck. I don't
I
understand.
was
I don't understand a
I had
thing.
to be you told me to be honest, so I just said, "Those were terrible." I didn't understand a thing from that.
Well, the thing is that I'm the one who's allowed to say exactly what I'm thinking. You're supposed to prop me up a little bit, but I didn't take it the wrong way. And I think that's the
No,
thing
you
is,
didn't.
when you've been married for 25 years, had 5 kids together, have had ups and have downs, is that we know that we can count on each other, and we know that we can trust each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it's been a ride. It's been crazy. It's just like our sister-in-law said, we've been through a lot together, but I can't come up with anything that I would ever change because one, we wouldn't have learned from it. We wouldn't have figured out how to become better from it. We wouldn't have had the experiences together with our family in different countries, traveling, business. We wouldn't have had any of those experiences to make us who we are today. So if I had changed any of that, then I would change the outcome too. And I like our outcome. So I would leave it.
I think the only regret I have is that we didn't do this all the way from the beginning, that we didn't do
Yeah.
a way to help couples know what it is to be an entrepreneurial couple, especially in
Mhm.
Costa Rica. We did it a little bit. We did some lives there, and I really, we had so many people tell us how great they were. In the first one that we did, a giant
Huge bug flew
just
in.
I think hit me in the back of the head. I can remember, and then
See,
flew
now
off.
people don't really think I'm actually crazy when it says the bugs are like, yeah,
But the
it was
weather's
as
so
big as a
perfect,
silver dollar. It was huge.
and it's such a great place, and it really
Yes.
created this appetite for us to be able to be minimalists with our possessions
Mhm.
and to really invest in experiences. And so much of what we're trying to do with our business now is to have the time and money to work where we want, when we want, with who we want. And I think that that's how we're creating our lives. So, dear wife, in our first networking star slash psychological episode, I'll
Yeah.
give you the final word to wrap it up. Of what do you recommend to other people whose life partners, spouses, significant other is so much more entrepreneurial than they are?
I think it comes down to understanding both sides because while you yourself grew up in a home where your father he had a regular job, right?
He did at the last of his career, but in the beginning he was a lawyer, and
He
lawyers
he
that
started
are
his own law
partners,
firm. That's true.
well, they're
Yeah.
very entrepreneurial to keep a law
Yeah.
firm alive, and I think that's where I
Yeah.
learned a lot of it.
That's true. That's true. So, so you had a little taste of having uh, parents with consistent jobs and not moving around a lot with. Um, oh, I said that weird, but anyway, you had a little bit of experience, but understanding my side, coming from a really conservative, budget minded
Yeah.
9 to 5 mentality, you had to take your time to learn my side. And then, of course, on the opposite, I had to take time to learn what it was like to be an entrepreneur. So it it takes both sides putting in 100% to understanding the other side. And that, I think that's what we've done probably the most because we came from just two different backgrounds. So I would say that's first and foremost, you've got to understand the other side first.
And sometimes it takes years.
Years.
Years. And I would say that that would accurately describe us, as it took years. It took me proving that I could help us accomplish the different things. It took me
Mhm.
understanding you and how your opinion was sometimes valid.
Always valid.
Well,
I know you're joking, but let's let people know that
but
we know you're joking.
you,
Always.
you think that people don't understand my
Genuinely.
personality, and I think they would truly do it. And I love doing these podcasts because I meet these remarkable people. But I think there's nobody more interesting to me and more just somebody that I can count on to be able to really help bring out the best in me than you. And I think that's why it's we loved each other dearly. In the beginnings of our marriage, I just don't think that we knew each other. We didn't have the time to go through those. So, dear wife, I do love you. I do look forward to our
Thank you.
psychological conversation where we'll
Okay.
talk about just progressing through different parts of entrepreneurship. And then sometimes just as a husband and wife in business, you talk about, we started off as youngsters when I had all of my hair, moving all the way through to now in so many different seasons of our entrepreneurship. And I really
Mhm.
hope it can help other couples to be able to have that power that I think that we generate together.
We'll have
And
a
I know
little
that you're just right
psychological
there. I know that you're just
couple
right
therapy.
there in that conference room, and I'm here, but
Okay.
but but we made it look like we're in wholly different places.
What?
What? Love you, wife.
Love you. Okay.
So, talk to y'all
See you
soon.
guys next time.